Hi, I'm Connie Whitman, your host, and you're listening to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. As always, I'm real excited that you're here with me and my guest today. So my quote, I always start with my motivational quote. It's by Go Through Properties. Interesting, that was what was on the website. And it says, Feng Shui tip. Clutter is anything unfinished, unused, unresolved, or disorganized. When you clear your clutter, you create space for new things, and your energy and creativity will increase. So do you think that your home or office has an energy and that energy might be affecting you? It could be either positively or in a negative way. And have you ever walked into a space, it could be a friend's home, office, even a store that you're shopping at, and just felt so comfortable and at ease without understanding, why am I feeling this way? Well, today we're going to speak about having a luminous space, which is restorative and nurturing. It's a place that can inspire us, help us achieve all of our goals, and ignite our personal power. My guest today is Maureen Calamia, I hope I said that right, in Creating Luminous Space. And Maureen shares groundbreaking methods using feng shui and biophilic design to achieve greater harmony in our lives. And by tapping into this wisdom, or this new wisdom of the 5 elements, it's not new, it's been around forever, but by tapping into the wisdom of the 5 elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, we can actually restore our bonds with nature, both in our inner nature and in our outer space and outer world, which is really vital for greater joy and peace in our lives. Now, Maureen is a feng shui, it's very hard for me to say that, consultant and teacher, an inspiring thought leader in the feng shui energy and consciousness. She's written for Huffington Post, Mind Body Green, Elephant Journal, and OM Times Magazine. Oh, my goodness, so many credentials. Please help me welcome my absolutely delightful guest, Maureen, to the show. So, Maureen, thank you so much for being on.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, Connie.
Yeah, I just love meeting people, and I love talking about things that literally, after the show, Maureen, everybody can go and change something in their office, in their home, whatever their space may be. So I just love giving information that can be used ASAP. So it's I find that to be very impactful. So let's jump in. How the heck did you get involved in all of this, the feng shui, writing the book, and the book is different, which we're going to talk about, but what inspired you to take that and write this different book?
Sure. Well, I kind of didn't start on this path, I guess. I was interested in my spiritual, kind of considering who I was at an early age, and I started studying astrology, but then life kind of caught up with me, and I just really focused on going to college, getting good grades, getting a good job, and I was distracted for many years, distracted by others, and it wasn't until like my mid-30s I came back around to the spiritual life, and really wanted to connect with that part of me that I had really left. I really felt like I was drawn to do this. So I just kind of came across feng shui one day, and within a few weeks I was sitting in class for a certification program for a full year. It was just kind of like a lightning strike, and I never looked back, because I realized that I really didn't know what feng shui is about. I had like that much of an understanding, but it encompassed so many things that were really my passion and my love. And that brought into geology, architecture, astrology, divination. It kind of brought like these two, like material world of like geology and meteorology and, concrete stuff. And then the spiritual world that I was just like, oh. So I studied that, and soon after I discovered something that was brand new that was coming out called biophilic design. And it was kind of a scientific approach about how our environments impact us. And the fact that we are so needing our connection to nature. So I started studying that and realized there's all this research that shows that we need nature. So I was just so inspired. I was on fire. And I really felt that this message needed to get to kind of the general public, because at the time, and it still pretty much is, it's pretty much like architects and designers. So I really felt there was such an overlap between biophilic design and feng shui that I just had to get that message out.
Isn't that interesting? And I've never heard of biophilic. I've never even heard of that until I read the bio and the book and all of that. So that was kind of interesting. And the other thing, you're making me laugh, that you said you were distracted, cracked me up. Aren't we all? Or haven't we all been truly distracted at one point in our life or another? Stuff just gets totally in the way and we derail ourselves, right? You know, my career, I have to work harder, I got to get more education, whatever it is, we get distracted. And then you found the feng shui. I giggled. I'm like, did she find it or did it find her? You almost wonder, right? Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, it definitely found me.
Yeah,
it definitely did, because I had actually been... I was let go from my company in the early 2000s. It was just so rampant, right? And I was working as a freelancer in marketing. That was what my career was. And I just knew that I had to do something that was spiritual, study something and do it as a career, not just study it as for myself, but also as a career. And I was looking for several years before feng shui discovered me.
Yeah. You know what though? I think if you didn't start investigating it, it never would have found you. So just kind of experimenting and looking and saying, what is it that I need to fulfill me? What do I need to bring to the world? Whatever that inner dialogue was for you. But if you weren't looking, it never would have found you. So it's a great thing. I just love how the synchronicities in our world or in our universe kind of come together. It's just very interesting. At time and time again, I always go, oh, and then I think, why are you surprised? But we're always surprised, right? It's kind of funny. Now I want to talk about the title of the book, which I love, Creating Luminous Space. For me, that word luminous, it's like illuminate my space, make it alive again. I love how you shared a story at the introduction about your experience with Luminous Space. Can you take us there now a little bit and then explain what actually Luminous Space is? So kind of a double-edged sword there with a question.
Yep. Well, yeah. So I was in my early 20s sitting on a beach in Maui, alone on the beach. But I was with my husband at the time, but he was not there that morning. It was the first morning. So anyhow, I went out to the beach and I was all alone. And the sun was rising behind me, so I was like facing west. And there were, it was Maui, so it was this beautiful, like old dormant volcano, like in my vision. And I saw the sun rise and all the shadows and light fall on this beautiful piece of rock, right? And something happened within me, and one of those times I hope we all have experienced at least once, where our heart like breaks open and there's just this amazing connection with the natural world around us. We're not just sitting there observing nature, we're sitting there as part of it. It's like we're absorbing everything around us. Every sense is fully alive and engaged. And I sat there just in awe. And years later, when I started studying feng shui, I realized, like, in my life, I was always looking to have that kind of connection, that real spiritual connection. And I realized that nature can do that for us. So, in my study of feng shui, it made complete sense. I mean, I didn't realize it until I started studying feng shui and started going, oh yeah, it's that aspect of nature. So a luminous space is one that really does ignite ignite us. It illuminates us. It brings us in connection with our souls and with nature. And it gives us this kind of power that is, right power. It's not forceful power, but it's a right power and a balance and harmony that environments that aren't connected like that don't give us. And I was really able to see how feng shui can bring that in through incorporating nature into our spaces.
It's so interesting when we have these experiences that move us to such a great extent, but then to be able at some point down the road, like you did, because that you didn't write the book immediately after having that experience.
Yeah.
You experienced a lot of life and then kind of went back to that beautiful imagery that you just described, and be able to connect these dots. It's just so, to me, it's just so interesting how, and I think it was Steve Jobs. He did the commencement speech at one of the universities, one of the Ivy League universities. I don't remember which one, but I remember his speech, and it was kind of cool because he said, at the time where you're taking these steps in your life, you're always questioning, is this the right step? Should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go forward? Whatever it is. And he says, and now in his life, when he looks back, every one of those steps was needed for him to be where he is at this point in his life before he passed away. Same thing for you. You needed that experience way back when, stays with you for something that's so dramatic, right? It stayed with you clearly that you could still imagine it in your mind's eye. But you needed that, and then all of these other experiences for you to be able to pull from. To me, that's the coolest thing of life, right? That we don't know when those moments are going to be used or are going to serve us. But then when they come, you're like, oh, that's why that happens. And I just wanted to comment, as you were describing, the sunrise coming against the volcanic rock and the beautiful shadows and colors and all of that, I could visualize that. So how powerful is that? That's what we look for. I remember as a child, we have a house down on the Jersey Shore, and at night the sunsets are they're breathtaking, and the colors of the oranges and the purples and everything. And I would remember every night, right, I'd be out because we're outside playing as kids, and I would run in the house and go, Mom, you have to come out and see this. She'd be like, what, thinking something went wrong. And I'd be like, look at the sunset. So anytime there was something beautiful in nature, I would bring it to her attention. And later on in life, she would laugh. She goes, you always saw something beautiful in nature. It could have been a bird or whatever. But I don't know why I would always bring her out to go, oh, you have to look at this. She probably needed it now as an adult. She probably needed it because she was in the house a lot as a mom. Wasn't a working mom when I was little and then became a working mom, but I was a little kid. So it's just funny how when you said that, I've had that experience multitudes of time where you are awestruck and like your heart is blown open. I thought that was just such a great explanation of the feeling you get. And I hope people are saying, yeah, I've had that experience,
Yeah, and what was really so interesting is, of course, I had that experience and I'd thought about it over the years, but when I started studying feng shui, and part of feng shui is, a feng shui practice is to do meditation regularly. Mm-hmm. And, my teachers would say, go to a place in nature, you can make it up or it could be a place. And immediately I was on that beach. And I would do all my meditations on that beach. So it was just like an alive memory,
Sure.
That I was able to tap into.
Yeah. And again, I think everybody's visualizing it. They're driving to work and going, yeah, I want to be on that volcano. I'm sure we're all thinking that right now. So it's so cool. Now, writing this book, I'm sure, satisfied many things for you in your career, in your life, your spirituality, all those things. What is the message or the primary message that you want people to understand from the book, and maybe how they could use it in their own personal life?
Yes. So what I find my kind of calling is to, in a small part, in my own small way, contribute to the understanding that we truly need nature in our daily lives in order to be present and mindful, and to have, joy and happiness. So often I think we get distracted by life. We get kind of caught in the grindstone, and we don't even realize. I love that you talk about the sunset, because I talk about that in the book. We don't realize there's a sunset every day. We will go on vacation and we'll race to the beach for the sunset. We'll make sure we're there.
Yes.
But we have one every day of our lives. And, just even looking outside, if you're fortunate enough to have, a window outside, is to be able to tap into the beauty of what's out there, be it a garden, be it, birds flying by, and, the whole scene. So it's something that we absolutely need in order to restore not only balance within ourselves, but balance in the planet. Because once we realize that we need it for our own harmony, we will then start respecting the earth and treat it the way we should. There's just way too much, as we all probably, it's preaching to the choir probably with this audience. We all know that we've disrespected the earth way too long, and we need to change our habits. And having that restored connection with nature will definitely help with that process.
We just recently moved, my husband and I laugh. The space is bigger that we're living in. We just have no lands. We had an acre of lands, and now we live in a townhouse, so I'm loving it. We have more time, which is funny because my yard in my other house was literally like a park. It was lovely. We weren't using it anymore on a daily basis, and it was just more maintenance than usefulness, right? So we moved into this beautiful space here. But in the throes of all of that, my kids are moving to new apartments at college. So literally we had to stop and live in our shore house for a time. So we have 4 moves this summer, 2 yet to go. Yeah, it's been a little nuts. So we had a vacation in between, and literally I think it was 2 weeks after we had moved in. And I remember saying to because what do you want to do when you move in? You want to paint, you want to hang pictures, right? You want to do all the things to make your space lovely again that you're living in. And I said to my husband, we're going to the shore. We're going to the beach. I need my feet in the sand, because if I don't do that and you don't do that, we're going to get sick. And the house is going to be here, and the painting we can do in the winter when you don't want to go outside. We need this. We need this balance. And it's just funny that you say that, but I know I need nature. I know I need a beach. I need sand. That grounds me. That reignites me, that calms me, all of those things. It's very interesting, yeah.
Right. I mean, our society, if we think about the terms yin and yang, yin is kind of the quiet, the still, yang is the active, the go. Mm-hmm. So our society really treasures the yang energy, go, 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 accomplish, do, be busy, schedule, but does not respect the yin, the restorative, just being. And we feel guilty not doing anything. We're like trying to stay connected, through our technology. So it is so important to remember that the yin is just as important as the yang. To put it on an even,
Yeah, okay, so again, we had a vacation scheduled, and I made sure that we went on vacation, right, where we didn't worry about house and all that nonsense. How do you propose, or what are your recommendations when you deal with people or speak with people? How do they find the time, not feel guilty? What do you teach? What do you teach people to be able to tap that and not feel guilty about it?
Well, it isn't easy, right? It's not easy to change our patterns of behavior. So my role, I see my role as kind of an educator, kind of a spiritual guide / educator, and explaining to my clients what it is that they're challenged with right now. Some people don't really need that, but many, many people do. They need to hear, okay, slow down. Just look at your life really clearly, try to have some clarity on the challenges you're having and how your behavior is just contributing to that chaotic energy. Breathe. Be present. So I talk about mindfulness. I talk about how we can use nature on a daily, hourly basis to remind ourselves to be present. So I love Eckhart Tolle. And I only read The Power of Now a few months ago, and I went, wow, I might have to rewrite my book to bring in some of his, because I was just so inspired. But it was so in line with what my book is about presence. And when we find ourselves running off in our minds, which we all do, about worry or, oh, I got to do this. It's to, okay, all of a sudden come back to our bodies. Feel the chair you're sitting in. Feel the breeze on your skin. Smell the room or wherever you are. Look out into nature. See the birds. Having that connection. And then boom, you could go back to work. But when you're so constantly engaged in that chaos, you're not going to be your best, and you're going to just contribute to more chaos in your life.
Yeah, and chaos, it's all around us every day, every minute. Technology, as wonderful as technology is, it makes chaos in our life because we're always connected. We're never down. We're not allowed to stop. We're not allowed to take lunch anymore because we're checking emails while we eat, or we're checking our phone, or we're checking on our kids, whatever it is. We're in hyperspeed all the time. So that's such a great recommendation. Just stop. 5 minutes really is what you're saying, and just sit in your chair. Not even. I know, 30 seconds. Right?
Not even a minute can do wonders. Yes. Because it stops that pattern, that wheel, that hamster wheel in our head.
Yes, it's true. And you're right. Just feel your chair for a minute. Think about nothing. Don't check your email. Again, 1 minute. I have a cousin. He's an architect in Manhattan, and he's just a brilliant guy. We were talking one day about this kind of stuff, and he said to me, sometimes I get so stressed because it's a stressful job that he's responsible for the Hamptons houses and stuff. I mean, very, very high end. And he says, I go to the men's room. And I looked at him, I go, you do? And he goes, yeah. He goes, and I just walk in. He goes, I go into a stall so people don't think I'm a crazy person. And he said, and I just kind of breathe. And he says, sometimes I'll just count. Sometimes I'll say a little prayer, if whatever, just kind of a little prayer. And he goes, maybe a minute or two. And he goes, then I come out, I go back to work. And he goes, you think more clearly. You whatever was holding him back, going, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? He says all of a sudden you have clarity of what to do. And we are not in the habit of doing that disconnect. And you're right, jumping off the hamster wheel for a minute or two and then jumping back on. And when we do that, we see more clearly. So
we do.
We know it, yet we don't do it. We're all a little crazy,
Yes, we are. We definitely are.
It's really
great. And what's really cool is I've actually read a few articles because I'm so interested in architecture and the design of where we're heading. And I can't remember where I read it or who it was, but some corporate spaces, companies have added like a sanctuary room. Yes. I'm not even sure if that's what they call it, but it is a place to go. It's small, it's cozy. There will be, low lights. I mean, it's almost like a meditation room, but it's like a place you could go, so you don't have to go to a bathroom stall.
I know, isn't that great? It's just great. Like, you can't make this stuff up, right? Now, I wanted to just shift gears a little bit. So you talk about the energy of our homes, of our offices, all of that, that we are attracted to that space. But also the idea that maybe our homes choose us rather than the other way around. You have to explain what that means, because I think it's just kind of such a cool concept.
Oh, yeah. I do find it's very interesting. because everything has this energy and consciousness. Quantum physics has proven that.
Yes.
Every single thing has energy. And when you have energy, there's some level of consciousness. It's not the same, of course, as ours, but there's some interchange. So when we are in a specific type of energy in our lives, we're going to attract those types of situations. So it's like, the law of attraction. When we talk about, if you're thinking you're going to be a failure all the time and that keeps running through your mind, you're going to become a failure, and you're going to have experiences that you will fail at. It's the same thing with houses. If we're going out, looking for houses, whatever energy level we're at, we're going to attract that type of energy in a home. So there's also the idea that the home we're in is going to, it's necessary for us, for our next level of growth. So somebody could have, I see it time and time again, someone who might have trouble with finances, they move into a house which lacks strength in financial abundance. And they'll, kind of repeat that same pattern of behavior there. And the same thing with romance. I see it again and again. Or they move into a home where somebody went bankrupt and the person before them went bankrupt. It's really like a pattern of energy in a space. So sometimes we have to kind of shift and raise our energy to get to a place that's really going to be supportive to us. It's very interesting. And when we live in our homes, we really need to identify what it is that's happening energetically and what we can do to make the home more supportive for us. Because, okay, so say you move into a home that has trouble, is kind of, beckoning trouble for finances. What you can do there is become aware, kind of conscious of this, make a connection to the home and say, and heal the home. What is it that I can do for you that will, free that energy? And obviously, you're going to then free that energy in your own life, because our homes and our lives are absolutely connected. Absolutely.
It was really interesting because you came across, your publicist had recommended you to me in the book and the whole thing, and we were in the throes of deciding to move, not to move. And it was just interesting because my house, we actually had done about 15 years ago, a beautiful extension. We built it around my ability to entertain my family for a Christmas Eve dinner and have 40 people sit at one table. This was important to me. Yeah, it was amazing. My cousin was the architect. It was amazing. So the house, when I tell you, served us. It was love. It was, and people would come into my home and say, "Oh, I love your house." And it was a very lived-in house. I have two big boys, so it was a lived-in home. It wasn't a museum.
Right.
The last couple of years, the kids are in college. The school system was great where we lived. It served us well. And then, we needed a new air conditioner. Trees needed to be pruned. We weren't using the yard anymore. All of a sudden, so my husband and I started talking, and I it's wearing me down. The energy had shifted because we weren't using the house the way it was meant to be used, I feel. And then we went to one of the, in this townhouse, they had an open house, and on a fluke, my husband says, "Let's go look." I'm like, "All right, I don't want to live in a townhouse." Very opinionated that I am.
Right.
We walked in, walked around, we walked out. I said, "Let's put a bid in." We didn't even have my house up for sale. My husband, "What?" And I said, "I love it. This is our next step. It's beautiful inside. It's light. There's nature all around. Even though it's a townhouse, there were trees in the unit that we were behind us." And I said, "This is it. This is the next step." We didn't get the bid. 3 weeks later, my house was up for sale. 1 week we sold it, and then within 4 weeks, we were homeless for a while. We knew we had the summer house to go to, so I wasn't too worried. And then within 4 weeks, we mailed the complex because we knew we wanted to live here. And the woman who was moving out was going back to California. I mean, synchronicity after synchronicity. But it's funny that you said that, because I had never thought that we had outgrown our house, because it was still beautiful. It just wasn't serving us the way I knew, or I felt, I guess. I felt it more as a burden than as this family gathering place. It had shifted. And this house can accommodate the seating 40 for Christmas Eve as well. So I didn't lose any. Isn't that cool? It's very cool. So I didn't lose anything. I just lost the burden of the land, and still have the nature right outside my door. It's just really, I didn't understand that until I read your book. And I was like, oh, that's what happened. Crazy, right?
It is amazing, isn't it? I could tell story after story about our connection with our homes. They are, as I say in the book, a mirror of our lives.
Absolutely.
They are.
Now,
fabulous.
So I just had to share that with you, because, again, I hope people listening, if they're buying a home, thinking about selling a home, whatever it is, it really does talk to you if you tune into it. I didn't know. Now, you don't know what you don't know at the time, right? So now I understand what was happening for my husband and I. But really, the book was brilliant. So I think everybody should read it, because even if you're not moving now, or your space at work isn't creating creativity for you, read the book. There are so many things, little things that they could do. Now, one other thing, we're almost out of time, but I do want to talk about, you have an assessment to help readers determine what their true nature is. And you say that learning about our true nature and connecting with that energy, again, the wood, the fire, the water, can bring us greater joy. Can you just talk about that? And I am taking that, I'm retaking that quiz again. I just lost it with the move, so I'm retaking it. So the idea is pretty. It's an ancient idea. The 5 elements come 4,000 some odd years ago, perhaps. That these elements make up everything in the universe, and we do have. Everyone has a primary element, sometimes 2 top elements that drive their personalities. So just to give you a quick thing, fire is obviously, someone who's very vivacious, extroverted, loves to connect with people, has like an open heart. Someone who's water is more introverted. They like to kind of be independent, work alone. They're not comfortable being on a stage. So that's just 2 of the 5 elements. So by identifying and understanding what our primary element is, we can actually bring that element into our personal spaces. So our bedroom, our office space, and it will boost our personal true nature. It will boost. So if you are fire, it's great to bring things like that are red. Bring a little bit of red and splashiness, maybe an image of the sun, to kind of like boost your fire element. Wood people, it's great for like bringing plants. Of course, everybody should bring plants into their offices and their homes, but especially for wood people. And of course, there's lots of other things. Wood furniture, color green, images of trees and flowers and stuff are all wood. Earth, I love like rocks. So I've got my beautiful rocks that I pick up on the beach. They call to me. They call to me just like homes, right? So they just go, okay, I got to bring you home. So earth people could really use like rocks in their spaces that they pick up in their walks. So all of the elements are wonderful. And it's important to have all the elements represented in your home because they represent nature. But if you know what your true nature element is, you can give yourself that little boost, that igniting your personal power by having that element strongly represented in your space. Yeah, and I would think, if somebody's a water element, there's so many beautiful little fountains, right? The little water fountains, so you have the sounds of the water. And, in your space, sometimes if we're in cubicles or we're in very sterile environments, fluorescent lighting, all of that, just bringing that little element, or bringing, like you said, bringing your stones. I have a bunch of crystals that I keep in my office. And I have beautiful paintings that I have in my office that are of nature. For me, I know that's what I need. And I need to have a window in my office. I say I'm looking out because I have a window. I need to be able to see trees. So sometimes we don't have that option to have a window, right? With this
Right.
move, maybe I didn't have that. So having pictures and those recommendations. You talk so much about it. The quiz is so easy. I do recommend everybody take it if you're unsure of what your element is. Because it's easy peasy for them to take it and then for them to truly understand. I also recommend everybody should buy this book. Maureen, we are out of time. It never is enough time for me. It's so crazy. If you guys would like more information or to connect with Maureen, please go to her website, and that has the website has the link to the book, which has the quiz, so you can navigate and find it.
And you can also download the quiz. You can sign up for a free ebook with the quiz.
Yes, that I forgot about that. I did that too. The website is www.luminous-spaces.com, and you also have a private Facebook group, Luminous Spaces Feng Shui. So if you want to connect with Maureen, put the request in on the Facebook Luminous Spaces Feng Shui as well. But go to the website, absolutely take the quiz, and absolutely download the free book, the free ebook. I really think everybody has to buy the book from you because it's simple. It's simple. And I don't know, I think we make things way too complicated, Maureen, in our life. So simple for me is always a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Right? So I hope you guys check that out. If you need to reach me or you have ideas for me or you want me to cover different topics on the show, please reach out to me personally at Connie@WhitmanAssociates.com. I do respond to my emails, and I will respond directly. If you need my help with anything, even business related too, you can reach me at Connie@WhitmanAssociates.com. Maureen, thank you for just a lovely interview, tremendous amount of information. I think everybody should just go on the website, start with that, and then you could buy the book and all those things. It's also on Amazon, right, Maureen?
Oh, yeah. Amazon, Barnes & Noble,
all of it.
Audible. There's even an Audible and Kindle version.
Yeah, which is great. Everybody could download it to their Kindle or your iPad. So check it out. Maureen, thank you so much again just for being a delightful guest, and it was just a fun show, so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Connie. It was a pleasure.
A real pleasure. I hope you guys will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, you know what, just how to grow ourselves and challenge ourselves so that we can become better and better and make life easier and easier and learn all these different inspiring things that my guests are sharing with us. Thank you all for joining me. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I really hope that you have a wonderful, exciting, and inspiring week. Try to do something different in your space and see how it might inspire you or make you even more creative at work and at home. Thanks, everybody.